Zoning section. Zoning is the regulation of private land use and development by local government. There are no federal zoning laws. Zoning is an essential part of the master plan. A master plan is a comprehensive plan to guide the long-term physical development of a particular area. Zoning increases the marketability of the property. For example, would you want to live next to a gas station? Well, a gas station would not want to be near you either. Luckily, there is zoning. Zoning is a police power. But don't think of the men in blue when you think of police power. Police power is the power that is held by the state to legislate for the purpose of preserving public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Zoning for land use is generally divided into residential, commercial, agricultural, industrial, and special use properties. Each of these land uses are subdivided into classifications. For example, a multifamily unit would be zoned as R3. The R would stand for residential. Special purpose properties would be for properties that are meant to benefit the public, such as schools, hospitals, and police stations. Downzoning is a change in the zoning to permit less intensive developments than are currently permitted. A zone going from commercial to residential is an example of downzoning. Cluster zoning allows for planned unit development, or PUDs. Zoning ordinances are a set of laws which control the height of buildings, setback, density, floor area ratios, buffers, buffer zones, variances. A setback is the distance from the edge of the road or sidewalk to the structure that was built. A setback can also be measured from the center of the road, so check with your local zoning board to see where the setback line is for you. Density is usually associated with subdivisions, restricting the number of houses per acre that may be built within the subdivision. A floor area ratio is the ratio of the square footage to the land area. The floor area ratio can be used in zoning to limit the amount of construction in a certain area. A buffer is found between two lots, such as a fence, a wall, or a row of trees. A buffer zone is a space of land between two use districts, such as a park, a playground, or a highway. A variance is an exception that is granted from the zoning rules. A variance is granted when the situation is exceptional and when granting that variance will not affect the rest of the community. For example, suppose a low-density residential zone requires that a house have a setback of no less than 100 feet. If a particular property were only 100 feet deep, it would be impossible to build a house on the property. A variance exempting the property from the setback regulation would allow a house to be built. Variances are granted lot by lot. A non-conforming use will allow an owner to continue a land use that existed previously but no longer conforms to zoning. For example, if your house is in a residential area, but then zoning changes to commercial, you would not have to convert your house into a gas station in order to conform. You would be granted non-conforming use to keep using it as residential for a certain period of time. The zoning board will determine just how long the non-conforming use will last. Performance standards regulate noise and air pollution for residential, commercial, and industrial properties. Any owner who wants to build on land must secure a building permit. A building permit allows local zoning to monitor compliance with zoning codes. Building codes are used to ensure minimum standards of public safety. An example of a building code would be the need of a handrail by a stairway. A certificate of occupancy is issued after the building has been inspected and it complies with local building codes. This concludes the section on zoning.